And welcome back, guys. James from Canuck. Today we're going to do a quick review of our work trucks, how we keep everything organized, nice, neat, and tidy. I have a saying, you're not productive if you're not organized. And of course, you're not profitable if you're not productive. So let's just take a quick review and see how we have everything laid out in this truck. Now this is my personal work truck, and I've had this for about 7 or 8 years. Usually we buy them used, just to avoid some of the extra dollars paying for newer vehicles. But you can see here, I still keep it as tidy as the day I got it. Try to keep it as clean and neat as possible. Sometimes it doesn't always happen. You got a busy day, you got stuff lying around, but hopefully at the end of the day or start of the next day, you can tidy things up and get ready for another long work day. So here, we'll start here on the left. What we've done here is we've put in 12, 6 on either side, 4-inch PVC tubes. They run about 12 feet to allow for copper lengths, which are about 12 lengths. And then I usually will put in a spacer for PEX pipe, because PEX pipe usually comes in 20-foot lengths. Here we have 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1-inch copper, and we have the high temperature Reha PEX pipe for hydronic heating with the oxygen barrier down below. Over here, I like to be color coded when it comes to installing water lines. So we have 1/2 to 1 inch, both in red and blue. And once again, these are also 20-foot lengths. So you cut them in half, you have 10-foot lengths, and just put a spacer there. The reason why I like having 12-foot runs all the way down through the back there is if you ever want to change your system up, you can just pop out those spacers, pull them out, and then you can put in more lengths of copper if you're doing a certain job, or if this truck is tasked for certain jobs of various natures. Down here, usually I keep full lengths of a lot of pipe down here, mostly just to know what I have when I'm going on a bigger job. To carry a standard blower here just to blow the truck out at the end of every day, keep the dust down. Over here, this is where all the sections of pipes are, usually PEX 3/4 inch copper. So this way, once you've done and pulled the full length out, you can put it down there and you know what you have. Up here, supply lines. Now, usually when you're doing a lot of faucets, it's nice to have a good selection of 20-inch and 12-inch supply lines. Here we have 36-inch supply lines, 30-inch supply lines for those longer lav connections. We have our extensions right here, and right here we have our blow-off tubes, our 90s for hot water tanks, and then the longer blow-off tubes for the electric hot water tanks or gas hot water tanks, usually for residential. Up here is our Woodford station, 8, 10, and 12-inch Woodfords, along with the accessories to help make sure we keep a good slope installing it, because you want to have a downward slope to drain that water in the wintertime. Over here we have ice maker, dishwasher, washing machine, and these hoses I use for utility hoses for draining tanks and whatnot. I keep them up here coiled up, because sometimes you just need to run a short distance to a floor drain. Over here we have silicone. We have high temp silicone up on the top, white silicone color coded, and then clear silicone color coded with yellow. Don't use these very often, but they are handy having these actual offset pipe wrenches, and I carry 24 to 14 inch. Down here, these are my more standard pipe wrenches, which I switched to Milwaukee, and I do like them quite a bit. I like Rigid and Milwaukee, both the same. But once again, we have 10 to 24 inch. Nice, easy to get at if you ever need to do any anchoring. Up here is a very handy station where we have pens, drill bits, quick hole saw bits, and reciprocating saw bits for whatever job and whatever tool we need to use it. I have a quick pressure gauges here. This one's obviously sprung, but you can take off and test pressures from 60 to 100 to 200 psi to be as accurate as possible if need be. Silicone gun and a ready rod cutter. And then for our trucks, we always have a standard fire extinguisher here for safety. Thankfully, we've never had to use it, knock on wood, but you know, down the road, it's always there in case we do. Up here, we have some overhead LED lighting, 3 strips down there. As well with these Unicell trucks, We also have this switch here, which activates some auxiliary lighting down there. So let's just carry on here. Now these blue bins are designed for a lot of finishing of fixtures. They have everything from faucets up to the top to wax seals, flanges, tank to bowl kits, so on and so forth for your toilets, showers, shower drains, basket strainers for your sinks. Up here, we even have a specialty roll of barb fittings, corporation fittings, flared fittings, 1/4 and 3/8 compression fittings, which you can pull out, and you have all variations of different kinds. And then of course, we also have brass and stainless steel fittings from 1/2 inch to 1 inch and so on. Up here, we have Moen, we have Delta, we have Waltech and Emco cartridges, all various kinds from D1s, D9s, a good organization or a good stock of various cartridges so that you can have the very common ones in your truck when you show up and do some work on someone's faucet. Up here we have some other accessories, urinals, cartridges, aerators, and so on and so forth, and a good assortment of various kitchen valves from Moen to Waltech, as well as some of our trims and retro trim plates right here. Further down here, we have our green bins. Now the green are more for rough-in more often than not, and we have a good assortment here of that. You can see here we have finishing stops, compression, PEX, solder, dielectric unions. We also have a good assortment of excussions as well as drains. Up on the top, we have ball valves from stop and drains to threaded to copper, 1/2 to 1 inch all the way in the back. Shark bite ones, which we don't use very often, but it's nice to have them. PEX, ProPress, and even more sediment faucets down here. The next level up is copper. Each bins represent 2 1 inch, 2 3/4 inch, 2 1/2 inch, and then a bonus of various other fittings that we use. And you can pull out the 3/4 inch bin here. Everything has its own location. It doesn't matter what it is, street 90s, 1/2 inch 90s, tees, everything is there if you need it. Same thing for shark bites. Here, here, and here. They are handy for CPVC fittings, sometimes poly B, but of course we usually always use the retrofit crimp fittings if we can. Up here we have ProPress, same thing, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch. For issues where you might want to do a good job, but it's very hazardous to do any soldering, you're up against a very tight area, then this is also a good solution if need be. It's nice to have all of these options. And then of course, last but not least, we have our PEX bins up here, 1/2, 3/4 inch, 1 inch. And then we have a lot of finishing up here with PEX bins and various boxes for lavs, laundry, so on and so forth. High level water alarms, I always like to keep one of those. As well as a float switch. Here's our copper coils if we need to flare something for a hot water tank or whatever it might be. We have our auxiliary hoses right here, some small tubing. Then over here we have our red bins. Now these red bins right here, it's a bit of a mix and mash, but mostly it's dedicated to heating, hence the red. Down here we have pumps. We have expansion tanks. We have Grundfos pumps. All the way over here to access panels that we need to cut into. We carry LVT, low voltage wiring, plus usually a standard roll of BX for any wiring that might have to extend. We carry all sorts of switches, plugs, BX connections, and so on and so forth. Morettes organized for various sizes, as well as even labeling for some of the finishing of the jobs. Up here, dedicated to more furnaces and gas valves and whatnot, keep carrying some of the standard gas valves. Not too much with the newer furnaces these days. We have a lot of transformers here as well, thermocouples, HSIs, carrying up on the top. We have zone valves. We have a good selection of zone valves in each one of these trucks, from flare to inverted flare to solder. And then of course we have relays, switching relays, a lot of stuff dedicated to hydronics, thermometers, so on and so forth. Further up here, we do carry some pump isolation flanges, which are good for retrofits. These are here already dedicated for a job. Up here we have lots of hydronic stuff, auto vents, bleeders, 90s. We carry gauges here, relief valves. Even we usually carry a lot of these support arms in the trucks for hydronic tanks coming across a lot of systems that don't have that. PRVs, a lot of plumbing dedicated stuff for well stuff up here on this top shelf, and it's check valves. We also have a lot of shock arresters and so on and so forth, and stuff for wells, whatever it might need. Every truck's a little bit different because every person is a little bit different with their style, but if every truck has this system, it's easy for an apprentice or somebody else in somebody else's truck. Oh, I know where that is. I'm gonna go check that out and go find that. Over here, down here, we always carry a wet vac and a dry vac and a safety bin with safety equipment. We have 2 stainless steel bins. We also have 3 nipple trays for 1/2, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch for those black iron jobs that you might need to use. Up here, once again, we have 1/2 inch, we have 3/4 inch, we have 1 inch black iron fittings, and all organized in there. We have our venting here too. Rare case we might need to have a few extra fittings on board, and the nice thing about it, it's not just CPVC, but also in the back we have 636. Up here, this is our sewage lift station and sump pump station, where we carry all sorts of fittings from MIPs to checkmates up here for sewage lift pumps, sump pumps. You want to do it in scheduled 40 PVC. It's just a stronger pipe designed for that pressure. We have condensate supplies, acid neutralizers, and then of course down here we have these right here, which gives us the option to hook up to 3/4 inch or 1 inch condensate drains, and of course various fittings, T's, 90s in the back. Over here we have supply hoses, range connectors, so on and so forth. We have our C vent down here. Here we have our nicely neat, organized Milwaukee bins where we carry a lot of our tools here, so it's handy. Just every place has its own spot. And then of course up here, look at this. We have also a lot of tools here. I'm a big Milwaukee fan. Used to be a DeWalt fan, but I've switched to Milwaukee. But we have a compressor, radio, cutting drywall, jigsaw, transfer pump, ready rod cutter, a saw for a reciprocating saw, grinder, so on and so forth. Many different tools for different applications. So we have some fans here just for those hot days, or if you're in boiler rooms, and so on and so forth. A battery station just to carry extra batteries. Lights right here, carry various levels. Compressor down here, and so on and so forth. Just everything that you need is set up in here, so you guys can be organized when you guys go out to the job. Up here we have 3/4 inch PVC, just cut to length, so if you need them on the job, just helps add a little bit more into here. We also have S-cleat ready rod for those hangers. Now, spanning over here, we have yellow bins. Now, the yellow bins are obviously, as you can see, dedicated to drainage, ABS. Top shelf is 3/4 inch, second 2 inch, 1.5 inch. Everything has its place. You pull it out, you have 90s and then street 90s in the back. Up here, let's say here you got T's, same thing, check valves in the back. Everything has its own little location, and it's not just one item, but multiple items in the back. Down here we have Fernco's bushings, connections, slip joint adapters for sink connections. And down here, once again, we have Fernco's, 1.5 inch, 1.25 inch, so on and so forth, to be as organized as possible. And then over here, a little bit more micro organizing, but once again, we have all sorts of items here, from washers, sealing flanges, spring nuts, so on and so forth. Lots of glues, solvents. Up here we have lots of screws, sheet metal screws, wood screws, so on and so forth. All the way over there, lots of stuff for whatever you need. Stainless steel screws. Up here we have various hangers, which we use for PEX, copper, support brackets up here, pipe stays, which are very handy when you just want to have a hanger and not mess around with a lot of it. And then you have microfix hangers, lots of microfix hangers for those more detailed hanging jobs. And then of course we got lots of flow aid, descaler, reserve glue, liquid lock, you know, map gas, whatever we need. Now down here in the bottom row, these are my my actual tool pouches, and you can see that they're actually color coded. Now they're color coded for a reason, because everyone has its own job, so I don't have to take a whole bunch of kits, and I just take one if I need to. Red is dedicated to heating, furnaces, hydronics. Blue is dedicated to plumbing. Green is dedicated to soldering. Copper. Yellow is for construction, a lot of, you know, specialty tools in there. Brown is for drainage, waste, vent, all that stuff. Purple is for PEX, from 1/2 inch to 1 inch. And then white and black. Black is a lot of drill bits, hole saws, and white is a specialty one for pumps and air chucks and so on and so forth. Then a little bit over here, we go down, and up here I've mounted these Milwaukee hangers for, you can just take them out, pop them out, just saves a little bit more space, a little bit more organized for electrical connections and other uses. And that's about it, guys. That's pretty much covers up most of the truck here. We do have these areas where we have tooling foam, you know, gray paint, WD-40 for various jobs. And then of course I do carry gloves, shoe beads for your feet when you go into people's houses if they're really particular about not wearing any shoes, or if your shoes are dirty, you can put those on as well. And overall, I'm very happy with the level of organization in here. It does take a lot to get a truck up to these standards and keep it at these standards. Now we're not done yet. Let's just take a look in the cab. And the cab is also equally as organized as best as possible. And the reason why is right here, you can see just when you're on the job site, it's nice to have pens, markers, tags, install paper, scissors, everything up here rather than being on the floor and laying around somewhere. You got business cards, batteries, you know, sometimes you got some equipment that require batteries. It's nice just to have these little details right here. Some files for lots of other things if you need to carry material lists, extra material, reference papers, so on. And you can see right here we also have some water bottles here. It can get hot in the summer, but it's always nice just to have lots of water. Your safety kit, our invoice book, and if you look around here, we have our safety hard helmets. But that's about it. It's really nice to have that GPS right there. It's kind of like a forward radar. You can see where you turn off, and you have your road signals to go left or right if you're unfamiliar with a certain area. And this is what does make life a lot easier when you have this much or this level of organization in a work truck. But the key thing is to keep it that way. Anyways, guys, I figure we've done our tour for now. I just wanted to briefly go over this, and we will talk to you guys soon for our next video. James from Canuck Mechanical signing out. Cheers.